Hey guys, this is Bonfree from L World. You're watching FoE Advance, and I am also in Ephesus. If you've seen the last number of my videos, I started a new city in Ephesus in October as sort of an experiment to see how far I could get with power creep and spending diamonds. I had a sort of a limited number of diamonds to begin with, as any of us probably do if we care about money. But I'll go into a little bit of that, and I was going to do some updates on the city, but specifically talk about the building efficiency tool that is built into FoE Helper. So if you are only a mobile user, feel free to stick around because I'm going to talk about some other things, especially with the event that's currently, the anniversary event and so forth. So I'll probably go into that first, and then talk about the building efficiency rating tool, which, if you dig into it a little bit, can be really helpful in prioritizing what you either store or keep in your city. And then there's a secondary tool that I may get into depending on the length, or maybe do another video on it about the sets and upgrade kits. And if you're primarily a mobile user and you have access to a desktop, either a Mac or a PC, you could occasionally log in on a browser, on any browser that supports the FoE extension, which is pretty much all of them, and load the extension, and then go from there and use these tools. And if you're not sure how to do that, I would probably recommend just going out to Grok or ChatGPT, or whoever you want, whatever the million platforms for AI you want. I use Grok as I'm just already on X and whatever. So what I like to do is just ask it anything I need to about the game, right? So for example, I just wanted to make sure I understood when the anniversary event gem board resets, what server time it resets, because I wasn't sure if it was aligning. We have rivals today, and given I think all events sort of reset this way, I just wanted to double check because of not wanting to miss out on the rivals opportunity for today, right? So I had already sort of burned up my gem board on this anniversary event to the point where the next time I flip it, I got to spend 160 diamonds. So I'm not going to do that, and I'm waiting for reset. But then again, I didn't want to miss the rivals, so I just have to wait till 9 p.m. my time today, and then I can proceed with some of this stuff. So anyway, that's just one example, but you could go to Grok and say, for example, how do I install the FoE Helper plugin for the game? And because I'm in context already, I was already talking to it about Forge of Empires, so I don't have to type that again. And then I'm sure it'll come up with all the information. So here you go, right? So you could go to pretty much any chat LLM and get that information, and off to the races. So I found that to be very useful in terms of just, you could ask just about any aspect of the game that's out there. And what's great about LLMs is they'll comb, Reddit and other places, the Forge of Empires, FoE info, things like that. So it's pretty handy to not have to hunt around. Okay, so back to the event. I'm wondering how everyone feels about this event. I made it pretty clear I dislike the last one. I don't like the St. Patty's event that much, mainly because I just hate the mechanic. It's repetitive. I guess that's the feature of it, is that it's repetitive, but I just don't care for it, and I just didn't feel like spending on it. I don't know, that maybe there was something incredibly cool that I missed, but I just wasn't really jazzed about it, so I didn't play it. But the anniversary event, I feel, has in the past been very generous. I think it's one of the most generous events that NO does, and so I am leaning into this one. And for some reason, my brain works good with these gems, so I can just look at this board and just kind of zone into it and play it pretty fast. So this is one event that I will tend to play in on multiple servers because it's just pretty accessible. I think I might go with the gold thing again on the spend. Again, that's kind of what I'm doing here in Ephesus until I just decide I don't want to spend anymore. but the under the sea prizes here. So the gold, the thing I really want is this astral lighthouse thing. I'm not going to try to say that word, but the thing I like about it is the FSP fragments, the finished special productions. I think those fragments, or that feature is so powerful. It's economically one of the coolest things in the game because it can really help you jump up a lot. And I was going to see, that's why I keep clicking on this subconsciously. I'm like, why am I doing this? Okay, so there is a platinum if you make it. There's a, or not for that, no, platinum. Astral, there's a silver, and there's a gold. Okay, so if I were to end up in top 1%, I technically wouldn't have to spend the $24.99, but to get it. But I don't know if I'm gonna push for the top 1%. I think Ephesus, I've probably got a pretty good chance because it's not as competitive on this server in the group events, but versus like 30 where I'm over on L, and it's pretty, you have to go really really far in on an event to make it to 1%, which I usually do over there, but on this one I'm gonna keep it here. So the thing I'm wondering about is if you guys are into this event or not, how you're kind of approaching it. I am, FYI, using the method that UberNerd talked about in terms of not spending past 80 each day, and trying to do 6 to 7 of the top level gems for the gem deposit, and that seems to be tracking just fine. I mean, I haven't spent any diamonds on it up to this point, and I think I'm tracking okay. So curious what you guys think about that, or if you've heard about that. If you haven't, go check out UberNerd's channel. He's really, really good and concise, unlike me, where I just kind of babble on for like the podcast format forever, but hopefully throwing out some good tasty nuggets. But I have been getting good feedback on Ephesus. There's a lot of people here that actually follow my channel, and that's been really cool to talk to them and help them out and sort of collaborate. I should probably start a group here. One of the things that I like about Ephesus is that we have this global 190. So yeah, given not everybody on the server is in this, it's pretty cool because I hadn't seen a global before on any other server. And these are players from all guilds, all over the place, or no guilds. And you just kind of look and see who's posting GBs, and like if they're frequent enough, you see a position you want, you just friend them up, and then if you need space later, you just do what you got to do and drop them and so forth. So I think that's pretty cool, especially as I develop my arc. I'm up to 146 right now, which I'm happy with that progress. Having started in November or October of last year, I haven't been going as quick as I certainly could. But it just becomes a time thing. Like, even though my native collections right now are 7,000 FP, but the high side tends to be closer to 9 when I use my BG and with some of my higher FP producing buildings. And then if I combine that with finished special productions and I just loop, like say I loop the BG with the Eternal Market, that throws off 346 FP each time, and I have I don't know, like 11 or 12 or first 12, so I could rock, roll this 12 times, and then that could end up being from 36, I'm shit at math, so whatever, 4,000 FP on a somewhere between 4 and 8,000 or whatever. So I mean, it's pretty crazy that can go so quickly. So that's really helped me get my arc up, because as you guys know, if you get once you get around 150, it just starts to get crazy expensive. So I'm going to need all the FP I can get. But anyway, let's move on to this tool. Of course, FoE Helper, which probably a ton of you that listen know about, and I find that a lot of folks that follow the channels, they're pretty into the game, right? Like, I mean, you're watching my obscure YouTube channel and looking for tips and pointers and things like that. So Okay, so I'm going to move on to production overview, which is a really good tool for seeing what's going on in your city, not only in real time actually for certain metrics, but also what it's producing. So if we just start real simply with the Forge Point tab, and we look here, there's actually a lot of data being shown to us, and keep in mind what you're seeing on my screen may be slightly different than when you bring it up by default. You want to pay attention for these gears and things like that, because it can change sort of like how the data is presented. So just keep an eye on that. So one thing that's cool here is that you have your, whether you're like motivated or not type thing. So this building, yes, it's motivated. It's showing me what it's producing in its motivated state, or polished, whatever, it's aided. So in the case of my Nightmare Coaster, it's showing a dash. And that's the reason is it's saying, hey, you're not polished, and there's something else going on, or could be something else going on here. So this is a neat way, if you are short or in supply of mass self-aid kits, you could come in here to sort of pinpoint what specifically you want to motivate with a single self-aid kit, which is really powerful. If you are at a certain point in the game where you like need to get the max just out of certain buildings when you collect, instead of everything, you really got to choose the best of, whatever you want to collect. This is going to help you do that, right? So that's a neat feature, right? So, and then of course, because I picked Forge Points, then it's going to show us what it is. So I know these buildings produce, this one's 30, this one's 90, et cetera, et cetera. So this really helps me just kind of see overall, hey, this is what's going on. And this number here is telling me, oh, you're not motivated enough, so you're not going to hit your full potential. This is my native Forge Point output with everything aided, right? And I do have a 20% booster right now because of my Forgotten Temple, I think. So yeah, there's that. So anyway, but it's taking that into account. But what this doesn't take into account is when I would use my BG to double stuff. That's all above and beyond. Any bonuses I get are above and beyond this minimum, which is why I'm saying I tend to collect somewhere between 7 and maybe 12,000 a day, depending on if I use a bunch of finished special productions and things like that. So then I can just go look at another metric. I think you just have to close it and go back in to get back to the tabs. We can just check out anything like population, obviously, is sort of a big one depending on what era you're in. And one other thing I wanted to show you is if you're not sure like which buildings are in which eras, and you don't want to just sit here and be like bing, bing, bing. And I mean, that's what I've always done, is like, oh, is this one upgraded yet? Oh, this one's in AF. Oh, but I need it in VF, So I can just click on era sort in really any of these tabs, and it's going to show you like real quick. You can see, oh, okay, I have all this crap. I've got stuff down in CA, LMA, EMA. Now, maybe it doesn't matter that those things are, but from a reno standpoint, you don't want to burn all your reno kits or your one-ups if you don't need to, right? So I think as you age up, depending on the speed at which you're aging up and where you think you're going to land for a long time, there's just a huge amount of strategy that needs to be considered with using your one-ups and your renos. So you've got to know your overall game plan in terms of like not wasting those things, because they're just few and far between. Thankfully, the last year or two, they've been bringing premium buildings that at least stuff that you can even still get for free. They give you fragments, right, of the mass self-aid kits and self-aids, things like that. So it is getting better, a lot less constrained than it used to be. But anyhow, what's, again, we're looking at a production overview here and, of population. So anyhow, I can see neg pop, obviously, positive pop, things like that. So, again, this is just another layer, another slice you can look at versus, some of the other stuff I was showing you. All roads lead to Rome with this helper, because it's so data driven, and there's just a lot of cool stuff about it. So, obviously down here in the lower regions, like we get really negative in population. So what's cool about this is that if I need population for something temporarily, I can go here real quick, figure out my high population buildings, store those, put them away, whatever. So again, this is a really great tool to use frequently and help identify whatever buildings you need. And again, it's showing you your output in total, right? You want to see how many coins you're producing. So if you're all motivated, 22, I'm doing 22.9 per collection. Supplies, 26.2, metals. So this is, pretty sweet, right? Of course, no diamonds because, we're not gonna be that generous. And then military units, things like that. So it looks like I can produce 620 military units a day, based on, of course, given era and motivation, things like that. Obviously, aiding makes a big difference, clearly, with military producing buildings. So, again, these metrics they're pretty handy. I mean, most of us are used to going into town hall and looking at the overviews, which is fine. I mean, I went as far as, this is an interesting tidbit for any of you that might be in VF, which is where I landed for now. I'm waiting to go to SAM because I need to refresh or up on mass self-aid kits and things like that. But here's my numbers for GBG, and of course we kicked off a new season today, so I'm at like 7,300, 6,200, and then down here in the defending, I'm happy with these numbers. It's been a big deal to get these numbers up, and of course you notice that some of this is coming from QI stuff, and I've gotten a lot more into into playing the quantum incursion, and I really like it now. Actually, I didn't understand it or like it at first, and I was like, what, I'm just going to keep screwing around with this thing until I kind of figure it out just organically, because I would read guides and stuff, and I'm like, I still don't fucking get this. But I finally started to get it after, how long has it been now? And one of the big helps has been, now see, I don't have to build a really big city, because again, in Ephesus, I went premium. So I ended up, this Halloween event gave me so much QI battle power. It's ridiculous. So as soon as I drop into QI, I can build, goat farm, wrong screen. I don't have to, wait. I can build the better, the higher upgraded houses, the villa. And I really recommend going to villas as fast as you can, because it seems like coins are always a real contention on the spend. So that's why I don't have a lot of extra land spaces, because I start off with so much, of the two main resources that I can just jump into it. And that's really helped me have a favorable opinion of it, to be honest, because I just really wasn't that interested in having to, juggle all the stuff to build a whole other city and, over this 10-day period or whatever. So I guess that's the reasoning, is that it was easy enough for me to like it. So I did. So anyway, that's that. But yeah, so in terms of back to, see, I squirreled there. I was going to talk about GBG fight stats. So I'm at about 185 attrition, 145, and I hit the murder wall like earlier today. So that's it. That's as high as I can go, and that's buffed. I put in two daunting towers, and I did the 400% buffs on both blue and red to get me, temporarily. Those have worn out by now, but anyway, yeah, it's kind of cool to see what you could do, like how far you can go. And that was, by the way, using a combination of SAM units, because some of my buildings are giving me era ahead units, but for the most part, that's using VF units. So, there you have it. But I was just going to double check and see. Wanted to make sure those buffs that I was talking about aren't in this number. I don't think they are, because this, wow, that just takes forever. That's really nice. And let's see, here's my blood lilies that I think I'm going to kill off. I don't really care for them. Yeah, so these are all infinity. So yeah, it looks like those 400% busts kind of wore out, and because I was just a bit earlier today. But anyway, I think I'm going to stop here, and I hope I've done somebody some good with this video. It's been a while since I've done one. I apologize for that, but hopefully if I get into the live streaming thing, that'll be a little more frequent, because I play the game for hours and hours a day, and I'm like, well, I should just stream, because then I can just chat about what's going on. Maybe talk to some of you guys that happen to be able to catch when I'm on, and we'll go from there. So anyway, thanks for staying with it, and for subscribing to the channel, and commenting, and just watching in general. That's what I'm here to do. So take care.